move on to the AFC West. And first of all, we have got to talk about this team, and we've got to figure out what on earth is going on. And that team is the Denver Broncos. Can somebody explain what is happening in Denver? Because they let Cushenberry go, they let Brandon Jones go, they let Josie Jewell go, they don't have a quarterback. They traded away Jerry Jeudy. Do they have any players left? Really, but that's
Sean Payton was quoted as saying this offseason he's going for exact fit. So that tells us that he is dismantling, removing players that do not fit his team, his offense, his organization. Like, you've got it. Like, I think he knows what it takes to win, and he knows what it takes to be great.
There's a lot of holes now to fill.
There's a lot of holes. I don't know whether he thinks he can do this in the draft. Seeing as you're definitely not going to fix all of these holes through the draft. There's going to be some things that are left out.
It's going to be 2 drafts at least.
2 drafts at least to try and fill all these holes. And you've got to hit. He needs a QB. And I think as long as if he's got that, then he's got time.
Let's talk about
even
he's got
was picked up.
He's got the glory of the glory of Jarrett Stidham at quarterback at the moment.
Well, he said recently Stidham is not a shoe-in to be his starter. I think he'll try and find someone from the draft that fits what he wants and maybe try and groom the person. But then at the same time, they've got a first-round pick. They don't have a second-round pick in the draft. They're picking 12, which is a weird position. But here's the thing, though. When you look at the free agency clause, it signals a massive rebuild. It's like they're stripping everything down. They released their all-pro safety Justin Simmons to clear some cap room. But this is sort of like really a strip it down type of rebuild for Denver.
But they're eating so much cap in Russ, right?
Yes, I don't think
exactly.
they have that luxury anyway, even if they wanted to.
Well, that's why I think that plays a part into why they released Justin Simmons and released some other players, because you're trying to clear the cap room. And even hold on quickly, let me find out what's their projected cap for next year.
Their current cap space.
Like going into what the future one? Like if we go into 2020, 2025, I'm just looking at it from Sport Track. 2025. What's the space that they will have? It gets better because in 2025 they're projected currently to have 95. So if you take the draft class, maybe they make some late signings, they'll have more cap room next year, even with
Russell. They'll have cap room, but it's literally
next year's really when it really starts building for Sean Payton.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like, even then. Like, usually it's worth spending a little bit of money on vets if you think you're knocking on the door. That's not the case. It's not like, well, if they hit on a QB, we've seen it happen with Houston. If you hit on a quarterback, it can transform. You can rebuild.
Yeah, but people don't understand. Houston has certain pieces in place for CJ Stroud to hit. Okay, so think about it. They drafted Will Anderson, who's a blue chip prospect coming into the NFL. The defense of Houston had good pieces on the defensive line. They were not bad pieces. And when you think about it, he had a good offensive line. Especially he had a left tackle, Larry Tunsil, who's a Pro Bowl top 5 to 10 left tackle in the league. They had a good offensive line. Nico Collins realized his potential. He was drafted in the second round, which is still a high enough of a draft pick for a receiver to come into the league. I think it was second or third round or something. So they had some pieces there. Even if they hit on a quarterback, I don't see the Broncos making the playoffs, especially in that tough division.
I don't see the Broncos making the playoffs in the next 4 years with the way things are going.
Like, I mean, come on, now you gotta give short. Like, come on.
There's a lot of holes.
Turn that around a little bit.
No, okay, let me put it this way: the only way that they're making the playoffs is the wild card spots.
Yes, the
They've got
wild card
Mahomes in
spot.
the
So
division.
but they might nick. We're not talking about this year, but maybe 2025 onwards, they might nick a
Maybe
wild card or something.
2035, but
30.
you know,
Deshaun Payne would have probably retired, been in the Hall of Fame already, and all that kind of stuff. You got to,
but
give him a bit of hope.
So
I mean,
as far we're not giving grades, but as far as my grade I'm only going to give the grade for the Broncos, and it's a U. It's unclassified. They don't even deserve grading. That's how bad their off season's gone.
I agree with you.
They're not even it's just absolutely and utterly atrocious. Speaking of a team that's fire sale, though. That's the LA Chargers. They had an interesting offseason because we thought so. It's peculiar. They got rid of Eckler, got rid of Mike Williams, Gerald Everett's gone, Kenneth Murray's gone. They've moved on from a lot of players and very talented players at that. So do we think they're going to be attacking the draft massively and just basically bringing in Michigan?
Yeah, I think they need to hit the ground running. They need to hit the ground running. And if you think about it, Aaron Donald as well retired.
But the Rams.
But that's
division. I'll talk about the Rams. Wait.
No,
LA Chargers. Chargers. Sorry. I'm thinking about Rams.
So
two teams in LA.
I mean, here's the thing with Chargers, right? I look at them and I'm like, Jim Harbaugh literally just got the
It's confusing.
It's very confusing. No, I mean Harbaugh, we are yet to see, but I think he's gonna run the offense that has always made him successful. They're gonna pound the football. Look at the running back swap they just did. They released Eckler and they signed Gus Edwards.
The Gus Bus.
He runs the football tough between the tackles. Pound the rock. Will Disley, very great blocking tight end. They let Everett go. Bring in Hayden Hurst, can block a little bit, can catch a little bit in case we need to throw the football. Do you get what I'm saying?
This is dangerous. He's bringing in his guys.
They traded away. They released Mike Williams, traded away Keenan Allen, right?
Yeah.
So he's targeting players that fit this offense. With a little bit of draft talk here is that, let's say, suppose if the Cardinals trade their 4th overall pick and they're at 5, they'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. They might not. Harbaugh might just take Joe Alt, who's the left tackle, to add to his and build. Harbaugh's always has strong trench play. He values defensive linemen, offensive linemen. Now, looking at their free agents class, they haven't done a whole lot in free agency.
You've got Rayshon Slater at left tackle, so you're not going to...
Yeah, but the right tackle is a problem.
Yeah,
and if you have two sort of tackles, you can pound the football, especially on the right-hand side. Now, the question is, Herbert is a great, talented quarterback, right? But is Herbert the quarterback for this offense? Because if it becomes a very run-heavy scheme, now here's the thing that I'll preface it with. People think sometimes when the scheme is run-heavy, quarterbacks still can't get their numbers. They can still get their numbers even in a run-heavy scheme.
It opens up the passing game. That's the thing.
Exactly. It does. So here now he's got a quarterback. He doesn't need to worry about that. But I guarantee you, if for instance, if the Chargers didn't have Herbert, Harbaugh would have taken McCarthy at 5 or even moved up to get him.
I agree. Only because of the stuff that Harbaugh's been saying. You know, he is adamant that
he's been
the best. I keep thinking maybe he's just helping out his former guy. You know, he helped out Michigan. He played at Michigan, and he's basically saying he's the best QB in the draft. Obviously, he's sticking with Herbert. And you brought up a really good point, Pete, in that he is bringing in his guys. This is going to be a Harbaugh offense. Like, they're going to run the ball. The QB play, you can win in spite of the QB play. But when you have someone like Herbert, you have the potential to go above and beyond. Don't be surprised if this team gets turned around in a hurry, which is why I think he's okay gutting the team. He's looking for a certain type of player.
And don't be surprised if Herbert runs the football a little bit this year. Herbert can be a Kaepernick, but with an even better arm in terms of making throws.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if Herbert is
moving
alone.
Don't be surprised if he goes, Herbert, how do you feel about running the ball? He goes, what's your 440 time? No one cares about my 40 time. Well, I care. Have you ever run a dive play?
Hey,
what? A dive?
That's what I'm saying. Run a QB dive on the play.
You're going in between the tackles. What? I'm running at the defensive tackle. Yeah, and we need you to put a helmet on that linebacker. He's like, what? Hold on. What are you talking about?
All right, let's
2 times a game. That's it. Just 2 times a game. We do that, we're gonna win a chip.
In terms of the division, I mean, I'm looking at it, and they're still a bit away from the Chiefs, depending on what they do in the draft.
Yeah,
they're miles off it as far as I'm concerned, because they need to still build some pieces. They need wide receiver pieces. You can't run the ball 100% of the time, and they just let the 2 main wide receivers go. So,
I think at this point, it points to them taking a wide receiver in the draft because they haven't signed one in free agency yet. So
correct. It points to that, and we'll see what happens when it comes to the NFL draft. Kansas City Chiefs added a wide receiver in Hollywood Brown. I think it's an improvement for them. Significant improvement from MVS. The most important signing that they made over the offseason was Chris Jones.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of re-signing. You're not the first person to have mentioned Matt Ariza as well.
Listen, I told Will, like, what's the voice that I sent you in the group chat? I was like, they can't keep letting them get away with this. How do the whole NFL sit there
and
let them get the punt guard? Like how? For league minimum 2? Like, they're gonna have great field position. I'm sorry. Like, hey, Mahomes gonna be starting on the 50-yard line every time or almost close to it.
Yeah, no, it's always dangerous. I think the Kansas City Chiefs now have a formula. Like, I think they have faith. Like, they realize, look, as long as we keep our core, the third receiver, that doesn't matter. Like, we can take guys out, 1-year deal, move on. They did it with Juju. You know what I mean? They brought him in, gone. And I think it's the same with Hollywood. I don't think Hollywood's going to be a mainstay. He's not finishing his career there. I think this is a 1-year rental, and then it's gone. And they'll do the same
I think
next
what
year.
it is with Hollywood Brown is this is an opportunity for Hollywood to really show his worth with a full year with a top-level quarterback.
A top-level QB. So I think either way, like, I think he's going to put up really good numbers this year.
If you look at it, well, as like, he played with Lamar, but he had those issues with drops, right?
Yep.
Then he went to the Cardinals. Obviously, quarterback injury. Completely, he didn't have a QB for a lot. You know, like he didn't have a stable situation at quarterback.
Yep.
No, he didn't. And even when Kyler came back, then he was injured.
Yep.
Right. So now he's in Kansas City, and Mahomes doesn't miss games.
Yep.
No.
And Mahomes Mahomes puts the ball on the player, and they just kept on dropping it. So he just needs to He needs to have more of his recent self rather. So this is a good thing for him.
And Hollywood is known as the yak monster as well. So
his speed is gonna be a big thing for the Chiefs offense. I think it brings the deep shot or the deep shot element, and I think the way Andy Reid is an offensive mastermind, he's gonna get a lot of free releases because he's not good at he's not gonna be the X. He's gonna be mainly in the slot where you're off the ball. So basically, your releases, you're quick.
They're all paying attention to Kelsey anyway.
Exactly. So he gets a chance to eat all the same. And I think the Chiefs this off season they probably will take a wide receiver in the draft to be their one. They'll target one of those 6'2", 6'3" wide receivers. They might even trade up to get a wide receiver.
Do you know who they've got? Do you know who they've got a visit with this week? Will?
Who?
Future episode of ours. Louis Zamet.
Oh, Louis Zamet. All right, yeah, no.
IPP player. Can you imagine him?
Yeah, he's gonna be. If he goes there, he's gonna be a gadget guy, man.
I know, but yeah. Back on point.
An upgrade from
free agency was them signing their guys, Chris Jones, and that was
although they've lost Allegretti.
Yep.
And they've lost Willie Gay.
They've lost Willie, and then they've also lost Legere Sneed in a trade.
And they lost so they have lost pieces, but this is the Chiefs.
But those pieces are they can be replaced in the draft, and the Chiefs have drafted very well under the Patrick Mahomes era. Like Legere Sneed was a 3rd-round pick that became an All-Pro cornerback. Trent McDuffie that they took last year was the best slot cornerback in the NFL last year.
And Duffy's coming up.
They're very good.
So I think the same thing's going to happen again. They're going to draft another guy. That's how they build with corners, which is why they let corners go. Marcus, remember Marcus Williams? Was it Marcus Williams?
Marcus
Peters, same thing. Like they know their corners. So they don't need to worry.
Drafting their corners. They're very good at drafting their players. The only way to take a step back is if, let's say, the draft players that don't pan out, because it can be good for a long time, but eventually they have players in the draft class that is not quite as good as your previous ones.
Yeah,
but that's only that normally becomes like only a year setback for teams that are really good at drafting, because they keep, like, for example, Baltimore have been one of the best teams at drafting for years. That's why they're always guaranteed to win 10 games per every year, because their method is proven, so they don't really spend a lot on free agency. And that's why the Chiefs free agency draft class, is the status quo, just keeping it going and retaining their players. They don't need to spend a lot. And they didn't need to do much.
Yeah, what they did with the corner position, the fact that they keep hitting on it, the next guy starts off so now Duffy's going to go to main corner, strong, and then you're going to have the next guy, the nickel, who's going to come up. 2 seasons after that, the nickel's going to come up to strong. They're going to let Duffy walk. Like, it's production line over there. But as long as they've got their core units, Chris Jones, Mahomes, Trav, they're good.
Now let's move on to the final team of the AFC to be discussed, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. They made a splash in free agency, adding Christian Wilkins for $110 million on a 4-year contract, pairing him in that defensive line with Max Crosby, so that is a mean combination of inside and out. They dealt away, so they lost Josh Jacobs, but I think they were happy with how Zamir White was going to pan out. So that gave them that confidence to let him go. They brought in Alexander Mattison to be their running back too. The big problem for me is quarterback. They're at the moment looking to be starting with Aiden O'Connell, even though it's potentially a battle between him and Minshew. But Minshew brings Minshew Mania and the cycle of it's just.
Well, take it away.
Come on, please. It's not the solution, right? Aiden O'Connell or Minshew?
No. I mean, they keep hooting and hollering. I think it's just
you can't turn your back on your guy.
I'm not. All I'm saying is that
he signed a $25 million deal, $50 million guaranteed. This is his shot. Come on now, he's your guy.
The Aiden O'Connell thing is basically a smokescreen. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a push and try and get one of these QBs coming out. Aiden O'Connell's not the long-term answer over there. You're just going through the motions. Minshew is more likely to hold. Neither of them long term, but here's the thing, Pete, you can't deny.
Wow!
Minshew
you turning on your guy. No. He was your guy.
Still the
How you turning on him now?
Still the second best quarterback out of that Kyler Murray draft. Like, that's crazy, right? But he's the second best QB in that draft. Like, he's managed to hold a team together, and I think he'll hold a team together better than Aiden O'Connell. So I reckon there'll be a battle. And I reckon Minshew's going to.
He almost took the Colts to the playoff last season. Don't you remember, Dylan?
Yeah, but he also held us back from the playoffs last season.
Me back, so he'll have those moments where he'll play really well, and you'll be like, "Damn, this guy can actually play," But then you have those moments where you're reminded that God. I see why he's not a regular
starter.
A regular starter. But yeah, so this whole Aiden O'Connell, it's not going to be him. It's going to be Gardner Minshew holding the team together. Maybe they draft a guy young. I just don't see the Raiders want to compete. They've got an awesome stadium, amazing city. They want to fill it out, and you're not going to fill it out with Gardner Minshew headlining as your QB. Like, no one's going there to win. People will go there to see the teams that come visit. They're not coming there to see your Raiders.
That's a danger for them. They don't want to create that precedent.
Exactly. You don't want to create that atmosphere where people only come to see the other team. You know what I mean? So that's how it goes. With running back, it's unfortunate with Josh Jacobs.
We expected him to go, though.
We expected him deep down inside. I think we knew that was what was going to happen. But the reality is, like, running backs are like unique in that the top end is really good and there's a long middle ground. But if you don't have a top end back, when it goes late into the season, that's when you start to see the difference. All the best teams have top end running backs that can perform. Middle of the road guys, they'll get you there, but you need other pieces in place to win. Like, I'd actually go as far as to say, for example, Isaiah Pacheco, he's a middle of the road guy. All right, that's knocking on that top end, but he's middle of the road. But because they've got a QB, because they've got a defense, because they've got other parts of the team that work well, he's able to look a lot better than he actually is. You know what I mean? So when you have a top end back, that's what you're going to need to win it all, unless you've got everything else down pat, which they don't. So I really think Zamir White, he's good, but they're going to realize now that there is a difference. They will realize this season. And unfortunately for them, it's going to be too little, too late.
Well, the thing is, in the AFC, you need a top level quarterback to even get anywhere. So
yeah,
they need that before
QB
they
first.
Get anything. Yeah, QB first before anything else. All right, there we have the breakdown of the AFC West, and that is it. All right. I'm not kind of like outroing us because it's like individual episodes, so I'm just going to stop recording now.